Welcome to today's video. As you guys already know, I love Telltale's The Wolf Among Us, and I have grown to love the game more as the years go by. I've always loved the concept of our childhood tales being thrown into real-world situations, and the dark and gritty detective style that Telltale adapts is exactly that. I would like to remind you guys that this is part 4 of our somewhat deep dive into the original origins of some of these characters. Part 1 covered the Crooked Men, Part 2 covered the Tweedle Brothers, and Part 3 covered Georgie Porgy. Today, I would like to dive a little deeper into the world of Fables within the video game adaptation. Our purpose here is to try and learn more about these wonderful characters. Today, we'll be looking at the titular character of 2013's game, Bigby Wolf. The Big Bad Wolf is one of the most known stories regarding all of the fables that we know. Growing up, I personally learned about the Big Bad Wolf in school and in a lot of the literature that we would read. The most prevalent was the story of Red Riding Hood and the Three Little Pigs. Now, there is a lot of information regarding this particular character, but it is believed that its origins stem as far back as ancient Greece. There used to be a slave and storyteller named Aesop who lived between the years of 520 and 624 BC, and apparently his fables were very famous at the time, and they carried some realism to them, because many have theorized that the reason that these fables were told back then were to bring caution and awareness to the real-life threat that wolves could bring when you were traveling in the woods. Aesop's fables would live on for centuries, and many years later, in the 1700s, the brothers Grimm would retell the story of the Big Bad Wolf and Little Red Riding Hood, but they would make it more family-friendly, thus creating a ripple effect, and countless cautionary tales involving the Big Bad Wolf would come from that. And in Telltale's The Wolf Among Us, Bigby Wolf is almost trying to redeem himself in a way. After a huge murder mystery takes over Fabletown, he finally begins to show others that he is much more than his troubled past. His actions may not please everyone, but it seems like he has Fabletown's best interests at heart. But it may take a long time for his peers to truly realize that. And in the section for Bigby Wolf in the Wolf Among Us Fable entry, it reads as follows. The renowned Big Bad Wolf. He's known for tormenting pigs and girls in red hoods, but is trying to put those dark days behind him. Bigby now acts as Fabletown's sheriff and remains in his human form. However, due to his rough past, the citizens of Fabletown are slow to trust him. Bigby is determined to show that he has truly changed, but some instincts are just too hard to control. And like I mentioned above, Bigby is truly trying to change. And when I was growing up, I was kind of curious about the Big Bad Wolf and all of the stories that we would read or hear. Because in a way, it's kind of cool to be known as someone that's maybe scary or powerful, and some people are drawn to that. And the Big Bad Wolf was usually portrayed in that way. However, his intelligence was always put into question because he kind of always ended up losing, whether it was to the Three Little Pigs or in Little Red Riding Hood. However, some depictions now of the Big Bad Wolf have painted him in a better light. One that I enjoy is Wolf W. Wolf from Hoodwinked, which I know is so stupid, but I truly enjoyed his take and the movie overall on the Big Bad Wolf. But of course, mainly I love Bigby from Telltale Games and Bill Willingham's Fables comics. I think this is one of his best ever depictions, and I think this is his best ever depiction, and I want more from him and more from Telltale Games regarding Bigby Wolf. And because of this, I'm extremely excited for The Wolf Among Us 2 and the return of Bigby. And like I said before, although he is a very well-known character, maybe some of us, including myself actually, didn't know his full origins. And I know I didn't touch upon every little detail, but it's just an intro to the origins. But I will be keeping you guys up to date with any news surrounding The Wolf Among Us 2, and we will do more videos surrounding some of the history of these characters. Like I've mentioned before, I feel there's a big void in the world of The Wolf Among Us, especially here on YouTube, and hopefully I can help fill it a little bit. Thank you, and I will see you in our next video.